Yeah, I think it might be something that, since I've been around it a little bit longer than some of the guys, I noticed, at the end of the year, it's about depth, and especially depth on the mound. And that's something that, we're fortunate to have a lot of here. So, when teams, maybe this weekend or this past weekend are playing on Monday and they're stretched a little thin, if we had to do that, we were fine. And I think that Clemson game, depth-wise as well, we were ready to play 10 more innings if we had to. We would have been completely fine on the mound. And, that was a really good team in Clemson. I don't know, how much they had left. So I think our whole team's kind of bought in to just doing whatever it takes that they can do to win, individually, finding your role and just trying to win.
Why is this team kind of figuring out its peak right now, and what would you say is left to come before you do actually reach that peak?
Yeah, I think this team was always a good team. I think this team had growing pains, more than maybe the fans here were used to, especially last year. There was a lot of new faces, and that takes some time. But those lessons and some of those tougher days have kind of built you up for this part of the season where, we've been down in games. We've had to come back in games. We've had things that haven't gone our way this season, and it's deal with it and move on. And I think that's the best mindset you can have at this point in the year. We've kind of seen the best of days and the worst of days, and that honestly prepares you better than if it was just smooth sailing the whole season, and then you face some adversity late, and you might struggle to respond.
Ryan, and then here in the front after that.
I don't know how much you've learned about Tanner Hall's speak, but just what stands out about him and makes him so impressive?
Yeah, we started to look at Hall, and he's a really good arm, and he's had a bunch of success, and we respect him, and we're just going through approach stuff and things that can help us be successful when we face him. And in this league, we faced a lot of really good Friday night type arms, and sometimes you just have to weather the storm a little bit. I hope we put up 20 runs on him, but nobody has, so I'm not going to think that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to have to fight up there and compete with him, and grind out at bats, and do everything we can to put us in a position to win when the game ends.
What do you think is the biggest difference between this year's team and last year's team going into Supers?
Yeah, well, I wasn't here last year, so I don't have that exact personal story with that, but from what I've heard is just this team has faced a little more adversity than last year. I hats off and respect to all those people that had that special season here last year, but I think that maybe this team might be better prepared because of some of the struggles it's went throughout the season. Those come back into play when it comes, into postseason, when the stress gets a little higher and the stakes get a little higher, and at the same time, when you're the number one team in the country, consensus number one as they were last year and everything, you got a lot to lose. And sometimes, it's hard to play like that when, you have a lot to lose versus, this team's kind of been built up and tore down, been back up and tore back down. We're just out there playing for each other and trying to win. I feel like this team doesn't have much pressure, and, that's a good thing to have in the postseason.
With Eric in the stand in the back.
Knowing you will have the opportunity to play at home in front of the fans, how exciting is it to go back on the road, play in front of what's going to be a wild environment, and hopefully pull off a win like what happened against Clemson?
Yeah, of course, we would have loved to be at home, but, we were anticipating, going on the road. If they told us to go to the moon and play, we'd go to the moon. So we don't really care about, where we're going to be. We're just trying to go out there and win baseball games, and we're playing Southern Miss, who's a very good baseball team, and, they play well at home, and they have a huge fan base. So, we understand the challenge, and we're ready for it.
Going off of that, Southern Miss is kind of the team that has the storyline with their coach retiring, going out at Super Regional. It's going to be his last game coaching at that park. Just how do you kind of, go against that and kind of put that to the wayside? Because they're going to be coming in with a lot of determination. They've already said they're playing this season for their coach.
Yeah, definitely respect what they're doing with that. For us is just don't pay attention to the alternative storylines. I know, I have Twitter too, and I see everybody out there on, who's getting to play where kind of thing. And, for us, it's just another baseball game. It's a 3-game series, and we need to win 2. So, we're playing with a lot, of stuff for us, for each other, and, they're playing for a lot, and it's just another baseball game to us. Try not to build it up and, make it bigger than it is.
obviously you weren't here last year, but just from coming off this regional and kind of paying attention to the guys that were here, do you sense a little bit of kind of an unfinished business from them, that there's, last week was good, but there's a lot more out there still?
Yeah, I definitely think last year, maybe the expectation wasn't to end where the season ended, and I think that, definitely fuels some guys from last year's team. I think that's, part of the reason maybe some guys from last year's team came back, some of the older guys, and, I think the vibe around the team's just been totally different since, after the SEC tournament and when, the big postseason started. It's just different, and, guys are stepping up, and, it's just been really cool to be a part of. Especially, I look back to that Clemson game, and we had so many people play. Guys that maybe haven't touched the field in a while, but it's like everybody stepped in and did their job and was ready to go. Whether that was, a defensive replacement, pinch running, get a bunt down, things like that. There's just everybody's doing everything they can to, give us the best chance to win.
Eric, and then in the back over here.
Griffin, you've been playing ball for a long time at the college level. This year, have you learned anything new about yourself or about your game despite playing for the last 4 years?
Yeah, I think, when I came here, part of the reason was I wanted a different challenge. And, I don't think maybe, other people did, but I didn't think it was going to be easy. And, I wanted a different challenge because I saw it as something I can grow from. And, I faced adversity just like everybody, else has on our team at some point. And, I had to find ways to change and adapt and, be a better version of myself to, overcome that adversity. And on the, when you get through those rough days, on the backside of it, you're a better player and you're a better person. So, I think this year's just been great for me as a different challenge to learn and grow. And, I feel like I'm a better player now than I was, this time last year. And I feel like I'm a better person now than I was this time last year.
Back left over here.
Hey there, Devin Hoke, WUTK. So I wanted to ask about, again, go back, as you said, the SEC tournament back when that happened, losing to Texas A&M. And you talked about adjustments as well. Even though that loss back then was a disappointing loss where you guys struggled offensively, did that loss end up motivating you guys to really play as well as you did in the regionals and going back to some of that, motivation and improvements and adjustments?
Yeah, I think when you get to the end of the year, it's a grind, right? And, physically it's a grind. I was joking with Barros on my back and walking around. I'm old, but I feel older. I'm, 23 going on 40. But, at the end of the year, you get out of that tournament and, it wasn't by anyone's, what they wanted to go one and done in the SEC tournament. But, looking back, it might have been a blessing. It gives you, 8 full days off, 9 full days off to recover, get your bodies back in shape, give your pitchers rest, kind of a reset button for us almost. And, I don't know if it motivated us more than, I think we were pretty motivated to win that game going into the SEC tournament. I don't know if we were more motivated to go into the regional, but I think we were just in a better physical and, mental spot, especially being on the road 2 of the last 3 weekends, then traveling again for the SEC tournament. Getting back to Knoxville, resetting, and going down to Clemson was just a different, situation.
Time for 1 or 2 more. Zach.
Coming into the season, did you have kind of an expectation of what an SEC schedule would be like for you? And I guess what was that experience? And then also, kind of how do you think that helped you kind of prepare for this now, regional and super regional?
Yeah, I played a bunch of SEC schools when I was at Cincinnati, and you just kind of realize the depth that those teams have, and how well coached they are. So I knew the SEC was the best conference in the country, and that's why I came here to play. I wanted to be around the best and play against the best, and I think that looking at it now has prepared us extremely well. For 10 weeks we faced some of the best teams in the country every weekend. We went on the road to LSU, we went on the road to Arkansas. I respect the Southern Miss, and I'm sure that atmosphere is going to be great. But I feel like we're very well prepared for some of the places we're going because of the places we've been this season. And once again, it's a 3-game series against a team that's really good and really capable of winning 3 games. But we've played a lot of teams that are really good and really capable of winning 3 games. So we're prepared and ready to go.
Anything else, Griffin? All right. Thanks, Griffin.